Now in session, the Honorable Bill Jarvis is now.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Please remain standing.
Call the meeting to order. Reverend Shipley, would you introduce our pastor of the day?
Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have with us this afternoon the Reverend Dr. Terry Kirby, pastor of the Alpha Baptist Church. We'll ask him to come and lead us in prayer, and also ask him, and not only him, but also each of you to remember Commissioner Dana Walker in your prayers. He's in ICU in the Johnson City Hospital and needs our prayers. Right.
Father, thank you for this privilege that we have to gather together in this community to conduct the business of this community. Father, we pray for peace and we pray for wisdom. And Father, we ask you to be with Commissioner Wampler as he is ill, and we just pray for healing, Father, and protection and help for his family during this time. Father, we pray for wisdom and courage to honor you in this place. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Bishop Carter, attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Meeting starts.
Present voters 12.
We have a quorum. Last Chris Bale to address a couple of issues. Chris, could you look at take care of that, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Because we have a large crowd here, if we have any emergency, of course, you realize there are two exits. Both will be available in case of emergency. If you take that exit, take it down, go straight out the door you entered in. If you take this one, you'll go down the hallway, down the steps, and out that door. There are two exits to exit out on the front of this building. One, the one you came in. There's another one adjacent to it, closer to this entry. Either one's available for exit in case of emergency. Also, we've asked you to make sure everyone has your cell phones turned off during the proceedings. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. We have no presentations. I'm going to change the order of the agenda just a little and move the, we're going to recess as the legislative body and open a public hearing on a rezoning issue. Does anyone want to address that rezoning? Okay. Seeing none, close that public hearing and reconvene as the legislative body. First order is the vote on the rezoning.
Motion.
Is there any discussion? Let us vote.
Yes.
We need a motion for that rezoning.
So moved. I'll second.
Okay. No, we're good. Thank you.
4A received, 12 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. Next up is public comments. This portion of the meeting, we've requested 5 minutes. You will be allowed that 5 minutes. Agenda items only. First to return their application for the speaking was the Patriot Brigade of Tennessee. Who's speaking on their behalf? Address them. You have 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I think I get 3 minutes, and Colonel Craig get 3 minutes. Jeff Cobb's not here, so I'll
3 to
get,
3 is not 5.
okay, well, so I get 5 minutes?
You get 5
Okay,
minutes.
thank you, Sir County.
You get 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Frank Mark, and I'm from Greenville, Tennessee. I'm with an organization called Patriot, Brigade of Tennessee. And I'd like to thank the mayor and the commissioners of this county, Hamilton County, for allowing us to come and speak at this meeting here today. The state must submit to the Creator and the Constitution. Throughout the ages, various governments have made claims to absolute power. The ancient Pharaoh claimed to be a god and ruled with absolute authority. The Roman emperors also claimed deity and exalted themselves above the moral law. The confession of faithful Roman was that Caesar is Lord. The early Christians, however, came in another confession. They said Jesus is Lord. This was a radical political claim which would eventually serve as the foundation of all liberty in Western civilization. By claiming that there was a God above Caesar, a God to whom Caesar must answer, they removed deity from the state and proclaimed to the world that Jesus was the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the one to whom all mortal men must answer. Those who share the confession of these early Christians still believe that no state has ultimate power. There is no divine right of kings, presidents, or courts. All earthly powers answer to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Since God is sovereign and the state is not, we believe when a government oversteps its God-given boundaries, it is the duty of Christians to lawfully resist tyrannical actions. Furthermore, we believe that the federal government, including the Supreme Court, is limited in its jurisdiction by the U.S. Constitution. And when it transgresses the boundaries of the Constitution, it is the duty of the states, the people, and the other branches of government to lawfully resist its usurpation. In the Supreme Court ruling of Wilbur Fell Hodges, the Supreme Court claimed the authority to redefine marriage for the entire United States. This is not only contrary to the words of Christ, who said, "In the beginning God made them male and female. And for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother, and shall be joined with his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." But it is also outside the jurisdiction delegated to the Supreme Court by the United States Constitution. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen of the Commission of Hamilton County, we are asking you to petition the Tennessee General Assembly to use all lawful means to resist the immoral, unlawful, and unconstitutional ruling of the Supreme Court by passing the resolution which has been presented to you today. May God give you courage to do the duty and stand firm for liberty and justice. And this is already in our Tennessee Constitution as of 2006. Marriage is between one man and one woman. It's law. It is the law. And you, as elected officials, have taken an oath, like members of Patriot Brigade have taken an oath, and other citizens here today, to uphold the U.S., the Tennessee, but most importantly, to uphold the Holy Scriptures. This is the most important matter, and we appreciate that you go by your oath of office today and do your duty. John Quincy Adams said, "Duty is ours, results are God's." Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you for your comment. Next up is Mr. Brawner. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Well, first off, I'd like to start off by thanking Mr. Chairman for approving of my request and allowing me to speak. I'd also like to thank the commissioners who are giving their time to listen to me talk. And then I'd like to thank everybody who came out on behalf of this resolution, especially the individuals who are wearing red, who are in support of love and equality. Now, I chose to speak today because I was unable, with clear conscience, to sit by and remain silent on a blatant case of injustice in my community. I'm speaking because I believe that remaining silent in cases of discrimination is equivalent to condoning it. Now, I'm sure many of the people in this courtroom are familiar with a quote from a famous civil rights activist, Desmond Tutu, who once stated, "If you are neutral in cases of injustice, then you've chosen the side of the oppressor." The resolution that we are discussing today is a quintessential example of hatred and discrimination. And I'd like to take my opportunity up here to discuss the resolution itself and next explore some implications it can have on our community. Now, the resolution calls for Tennessee to place a ban on gay marriage and move to impeach 5 Supreme Court justices. This is rooted on the contention that the Supreme Court did not have the power to decide that same-sex marriage was legal. However, this argument is incorrect. In the 2015 Obergefell versus Hodges case, the Supreme Court exercised their power of judicial review to determine that the ban on same-sex marriage in several states was unconstitutional because it was in direct violation with the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. It is unconstitutional to deny someone their right to marriage because of their sexuality. The resolution we're discussing is not backed by the Constitution. It is, however, backed by hatred. I took a few minutes to research the authors of this bill, who are known as the Patriot Brigade of Tennessee. I found that on their website they had a link to an article titled, "I Am a Hater." And to directly quote this article, quote, "I am a hater, a proud one I might add. I hate homosexuality and what it does to people. I hate the debaucherous nature of that behavior. And I'm here today because I believe that hate has no place in Hamilton County." Now, most of us in this courtroom know that even if the Commission unanimously votes in favor of this resolution, it won't legally change anything about gay marriage. We don't have the ability to nullify federal law. However, if our Commission votes in favor of this resolution, it sends a message. It sends a message to our LGBT community that you are not welcome, you are not accepted, and you are not tolerated. It sends a message of hatred. I've had the privilege of growing up in Hamilton County virtually my entire life. And I love this community, and many of my closest friends identify as gay. This resolution silences these individuals and perpetuates an obstinate line of prejudiced thinking against them. If there are any LGBT individuals in this courtroom, I would like to tell you that this resolution does not speak for the majority of Hamilton County. And if you don't believe me, just simply look around at all the people who are wearing red. These are people who support love and equality and are on your side. And this isn't an issue of right-wing or left-wing. This isn't an issue of religion. This is an issue of conscience. This is an issue of equality. And this is an issue of civil rights. Now, with that said, I would like to again thank the Commission for the time and allowing me to speak. I would like to again thank everyone who showed up in red. I wish to remind the Commission that they are representative of our county, and I hope that they vote in favor of love and equality, rather than hatred and ignorance. For these reasons, I strongly urge the Commission to vote against this resolution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Tidyman. We have that Mr. Richard Tidyman here. Okay. Next, Evan McKenna. Please state your name and where you're from.
My name is Evan McKenna. My address is 3231 Milton Ridge Court. Hi, my name is Evan McKenna. My address is 3231 Milton Ridge Court, and I speak today to oppose the resolution offered by the Hamilton County Commission. First of all, I'd like to thank the Commission Chairman for allowing me to speak. To see so many citizens willing to come forward and speak out makes me happier than I ever could have imagined. However, there are many people living in Hamilton County who want to speak out but are unable. Looking past its legal implications, a resolution such as this comes with a very dangerous social effect as well. More LGBT citizens are forced into silence. Whether it's passed or not, the fact that this resolution exists will cause many to keep quiet because they don't want to lose friends, their family, their jobs. Every anti-LGBT resolution that is brought to the table decreases the number of LGBT citizens that are able to speak out, and it is a vicious cycle. Unfortunately, I know of dozens of people in our area who have been forced into silence in ways such as this. So, I asked them how they felt. Of course, I have not included their names, but I present to the Commission the voices of those who want to speak out, but because of resolutions like these, are not able to. One says, This resolution affirms my fears of rejection and fuels my self-hatred. Another. When I first came out to my mom, she kicked me out of the house and did not speak to me for weeks. Another. I want to go home at night without feeling like my community hates the person that I am. Another. You are voting to take away my right to marry the love of my life. And for that, I am sad, not just for me, but for our entire community. Another. I have never been allowed to talk about the thoughts of suicide I have because my feelings of homosexuality are the cause. The thought process behind this resolution is the reason LGBT individuals kill themselves. We want what is fair. We deserve the right to live. These statements prove that this resolution holds much more weight than our county commission believes. Because this resolution entails much more than a right to marry. This resolution jeopardizes the rights and the lives of our LGBT citizens. And is it the purpose of the law to protect the rights and our lives of our citizens? Like it or not, our county commission and its policies set a precedent for public opinion. If we vote no on the resolution, that could mean one less kid getting kicked out of the house, or one less kid ending his own life. Growing up gay in Hamilton County, I have become very skilled at hiding. I have become accustomed to being afraid. But I am no longer afraid of embracing my identity. I am afraid for my county's future. Voting yes on this resolution will not just send a message to our Nashville legislature. It will send a message to thousands and thousands of people across the state and across the country. A message that our county condones intolerance. I have lived in Hamilton County for 16 years, and it is and will always be my home. But this resolution does not speak for me. I speak for myself. I speak for my fellow citizens that are wearing red behind me. I speak for those who are unable to. I speak because I do not condone the intolerance presented by this resolution, and I know most of this room does not as well. I ask the County Commission to vote no on the resolution, to combat intolerance and to save the lives of those who cannot speak out. I'd like to thank the County Commission again, and thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Stephen Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. My name's Steve Lawrence. My wife Irene and I moved to Hamilton County, to Morristown, a year and a half ago after serving almost 3 years as U.S. Peace Corps volunteers overseas. We choose to live here.
Where do you live?
We live on Mountain View Drive. I have a master's degree in public administration. I'm teaching American government right now at Walter State Community College and enjoy my students there. I ask the Commission to unanimously oppose and vote no on our 1724. I love and respect our system of representative democracy. I've traveled in more than 41 countries on 5 continents, and I've been in places where I would be arrested for speaking openly to you about issues like this, about any issues where there's criticism. So I love this country. I'm first generation American. My parents left Europe in the 1930s to escape political oppression and religious oppression. I have great respect for personal faith and the expression of that faith. I respect the system that gives the Patriots Brigade the right to petition this body, and I teach my students that issue of petition. We lived, before moving here in Jamaica, in a very small rural community. There were less than 1,000 people, and I always say you have to count some of those more than once to get to 1,000. There were 13 Christian churches in the community. We were welcomed in all those congregations, and I learned to respect the diversity of a community. Regarding the Supreme Court, in Obergefell v. Hodges, the court simply held that same-gender couples were afforded the same civil rights, the civil rights that we talked about in my class, the same civil rights as all citizens with equal protection under the law, guaranteed by the Constitution. That decision does not violate the rights of the Patriots Brigade the rights of members of this commission, or the rights of clergy to practice their deeply held beliefs regarding marriage or anything else. Regarding economic development, before retiring, I managed a large organization, almost 1,000 employees in up to 5 states. It was a job-generating business. Morristown and Hamlin County have earned a reputation for welcoming investment from both U.S. and international employers. I believe this resolution is hanging out a road sign saying diversity is not welcome here. And I don't think that's something that you as members of the commission feel is the right way to bring business and jobs into our community. Rejecting this resolution does not say that this county suppresses expression of individual faith and beliefs. However, it does say that we respect equality and all members of our rich and diverse community. So I want to end with a story about a student of mine this semester. I had the privilege of teaching 44 students in a first-year course in American government at the college. A major part of the class includes researching and presenting about a topic of interest related to our study of the Constitution and the processes of government. Students' discussions during the semester were varied and respectful and showed a real cross-section of community ideas. I'm going to talk about one student who shared his very strong personal Christian faith and his personal opposition to both abortion and same-gender marriage, and who fulfilled a part of the assignment which said you have to use some teaching aid, and most students use PowerPoint or even a video. He brought his Bible as a teaching aid and held it up in the class. He cited his love for country by allowing him to live by his own words according to his own worldview, while respecting the equal rights under the law guaranteed to him and all citizens and all members of the class in our community by the Constitution. So simply I ask this commission, after hearing the comments presented by interested parties here and voters of this county, to unanimously reject and vote no on R-1724. In 12 seconds, thank you. I'll welcome any questions, and have a happy holiday. Thank
you. Counselor, you're next. You don't use being called counselor.
I didn't realize that you were going to call me, so thank you very much. My name is Betsy Stibler. I live at 2040 North Economy Road in Morristown, and I appreciate the opportunity to address the commission. I'm wearing red. That was actually accidental. I forgot it was Rare Red Day, but I do, in fact, support what the remarks that have been made thus far. And that is, I think that it is very important that this commission not approve this resolution. I have a few very real concerns from a government perspective, and that is how this even came to be on our county commission's agenda to begin with. There's a very clear process for how these things are brought before a commission. In my perusal of the documents related to the committee meetings and all, it left me with questions as to how this came about. The other question I have is, how open are we to accepting something that came anonymously from someone that we had, no ideas as commissioners? They called themselves a Patriots Brigade. How much vetting did we do of this process before we put it on the commission agenda? So those are some questions that I'll just leave to sit with you for future reference. With regard to the resolution itself, I wholeheartely agree that it is an absolutely embarrassing thing to Google Hamlin County right now. I tell people all the time, I go to Blount County. I was in Blount County in court the other day. Hi, Betsy Stibler, member of the Hamlin County Bar. People Google us. when their company wants to move here, when they want to retire to the lake, when they decide that halfway back from Florida to the Northeast is not Sevier County because of their traffic woes. They find us. And right now, we don't look like a very welcoming community. As a matter of fact, we look worse than not welcoming. We look decidedly backward. And that is a concern to me. It harms my reputation, it harms my family's reputation, it makes us all look like we're part of a very backward community. Not with any respect to the very personal issue that people have, whether or not they support gay marriage or they do not support gay marriage, but with regard to the fact that the Supreme Court has ruled on this issue. This is res judicata. This is something that has been decided. There is no effect for what we're doing here tonight, and we have very, very real problems in Hamilton County. I see them all the time. We have a jail study committee that has been working hard for a very long time, and yet I can't go into the jail and meet with my appointed clients, right, in any place other than a stand-up hallway with men in paper gowns, if you can imagine that. Now, I just want you to think about that for just a second. Half-naked men in paper gowns for that. That is a Hamilton County problem, okay? And so we have a duty as a commission and as a citizenry to focus our time, your very valuable time, on the issues at hand. Issues like other agenda items. This wastes our collective time, it wastes our collective breath, it makes us look backward, and it's very hostile to a very vibrant part of our community whom we should embrace. And I personally, as a Christian and a member of First Baptist Church, I'm sure that people disagree with me, but I personally believe that Jesus is not a hostile God. And so I think that we are really sending that out there. Again, other issues need to be addressed. And you have a duty to not harm the citizenry of Hamilton County and of Morristown. You harm this citizenry when you entertain resolutions such as this, when you give them airtime and get us on the news, on the AP wire, in the Seattle Times, because we can't somehow understand that this issue has been decided and that sending a message to Nashville does nothing. With regard to our Tennessee Constitution, it doesn't matter what's in there if it's unconstitutional to the federal judiciary. It's unconstitutional. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next, James Prophet.
My name is James Prophet of 702 Dyke Street here in Morristown. Commissioners and Mr. Chairman, thank you for allowing me to speak and tell you what this resolution means to me, my husband, and many other citizens of Hamilton County. I can tell you that love is love and marriage equality is the law of the land, or that LGBT citizens don't have ask for special rights. We want equal rights. But if you all felt the same way that I do, then we wouldn't be here today discussing this resolution. Yet the Patriot's Brigade would have you believe that love is only defined and ordained by the Bible, and that marriage is only between one man and one woman. They come here today assuming that we are not godly people, and that we pay no attention to the Constitution and how we are governed. They also say that the 5 Supreme Court justices who voted to ban all laws forbidding same-sex marriage should be impeached and convicted of violating the Constitution. I think that's an issue way beyond the jurisdiction of this or any county commission. But I must question what jurisdiction you would have on the issue of marriage at all. According to the Hamilton County government webpage, the commission adopts the overall budget, appropriates funds for the county, sets a tax rate, apportions the county into districts, and adopts laws authorized by the state of Tennessee. I assume that marriage would fall under adopts laws authorized by the state. The ban against same-sex marriage was overturned by the Supreme Court on June 26, 2015. That day, Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam announced that the state would follow the judicial order and same-sex couples began to marry here. So prior to that date, you adopted the law authorized by the state, and since then, you must still adopt the law authorized by the state regarding marriage. As I see it, you are currently in compliance with your duties, and defining marriage as between one man and one woman would be malpractice. But how would changing the recognition of marriage between how would changing the recognition of marriage between myself and my husband affect anyone else here in Hamlin County? Your duties reside over appropriating the budget for the county, appropriating those funds, and setting taxes. Now that's where the rubber meets the road. Both my husband and I work outside of the county, but yet we bring our paychecks back here. Since we were married 4 years ago, we have purchased 2 vehicles from East Tennessee Nissan at about $80,000, remodeled a bathroom and a kitchen in our home costing about $35,000, purchased our groceries at Ingalls and Food City to the tune of $20,000, filled up our gas tanks in excess of $10,000. We've purchased furniture from Jordan's Home Furnishings, been to doctors at Health Star, eaten out at Jersey Girl, Little Dutch, Java Garden, and many other restaurants here in our town. And we've made purchases at College Square Mall, all of that totaling probably more than $100,000 since we've been married. I must assume that the county has benefited by the taxes we have paid. Now, we could have taken those purchases outside of Hamlin County. If you pass this resolution, we will likely do so. If your desire is to take away our rights and protections as a married couple, we will take our money elsewhere. Now, that may not mean much as one couple, but multiply that by the number of LGBT citizens and supporters of equal rights in Hamlin County, and I would say that would have an impact on our local economy. I would think that Ingalls and Jersey Girl, College Square Mall, East Tennessee Nissan, and other businesses and potential businesses of Hamlin County would not like that you've encouraged all of us to go somewhere else. The budget you approve would have to change, appropriations would have to decrease, and taxes for everyone would have to increase because of the loss of revenue to the county. Now I can see how my marriage could affect all of your marriages and the marriages of opposite sex couples. It could hit you where it hurts, right in your wallet. But it does not change how you or anyone else loves their spouse. It does not tell you what relationship you should have with God. It does not even mean that you have to approve of marriage equality personally, just like your marriage does not change any of those things for us. And marriage is a civil union, authorized by our local government. It can also be a religious union, but there are no religious requirements to make it official and recognized by our local, state, or federal governments. So I encourage you to vote no on this resolution. Tell the citizens of Hamlin County that you represent all of them, not some of them. And tell the state of Tennessee that you will continue to adopt its laws. Thank you.
Fodor.
My name is Thomas Brewer, and I live on 6182 Laverne Circle, Top Tennessee. So today the Commission is faced with deciding whether or not to adopt this resolution. Now, as Commissioner Stansel-Ford has already said, all the adoption of this resolution does is say that Hamlin County supports this resolution. Now, by extension, the adoption of this resolution would mean that Hamlin County supports everything that is in the resolution. And if it didn't, then why would we adopt the resolution? Now, looking at the resolution, we can see that there are many things in here that we should not support. Now, one can be found on page 6, which calls on the Tennessee General Assembly and Governor to refuse to accept the lawless opinion in Obergefell v. Hodges as binding precedent for all but the specific plaintiffs in that case. And of course, as Commissioner Stansel-Ford has already said, this would go to Nashville. However, this has already been to Nashville in the House Bill 1412 and the accompanying Senate bill. And both failed in committee because nobody wanted to vote on this bill. And if we are going to talk about the end goal is to get this to Nashville, then we have to talk about how the end goal is to get it passed in Nashville. So of course the next question is, what would happen if this bill was passed in Nashville? And again, this has already been noted in the fiscal note for these two bills. And that says that $8.5 billion worth of federal grant money is at stake with these two bills. $6.5 billion with the Bureau of TennCare, and $2 billion with the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program and Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. So what we see is that if the end goal of this resolution is to get this resolution to Nashville and then passed to Nashville, hundreds of thousands of Tennesseans would be hurt by this resolution. And adopting this resolution would essentially be signing off on these consequences, which could hurt hundreds of thousands of Tennesseans. And that is not something I think Hamilton County should support. What we can also see on page 6 is that it calls on Congress to change the appellate jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to not be able to take cases involving the definition of marriage. And this fails to take into consideration that the Supreme Court is self-governed, meaning that it has the ability to decide what cases are under its jurisdiction. So even if Congress passes this bill or law, whatever you want to call this, and says that these cases cannot be taken by the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court would then have to interpret this law. Not only that, but Congress cannot change the Supreme Court's original jurisdiction. And the Supreme Court's original jurisdiction extends to cases involving a state and individuals from another state. And so, for example, what could happen is that a married couple from New York could come to Tennessee, somehow have that violated, and then could file a lawsuit against Tennessee, and that case could potentially go directly to the Supreme Court. So in essence, changing the appellate jurisdiction of the Supreme Court wouldn't even achieve the Brigade's goal. And of course that begs the question, then why adopt the resolution? Right. On page 4, it calls on Congress to impeach the 5 justices, Kennedy, Ginsburg, Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan. Only one justice in the history of the United States has ever been impeached. And that failed, resulting in him keeping his position on the Supreme Court. Now this was Samuel Chase in 1805, over 200 years ago. Now the reason this failed, the reason that the Senate decided not to convict Samuel Chase was because they realized that a Supreme Court, which was insulated from the winds of the public, was essential to the Supreme Court fulfilling its role as an objective arbiter of the law. And by this commission adopting this resolution, it would be abandoning this time-honored principle. Not only that, this commission has to realize that there are legal arguments, valid legal arguments on both sides of this contentious issue. And by adopting this resolution, this commission would be declaring itself the ultimate arbiter of what the law says. But not only that, it would be setting a dangerous precedent, which is that when the Supreme Court rules unfavorably, what we should seek to do is to just impeach those justices. Now also, I'd like to just briefly mention that this could in fact result in a violation of both the U.S. Constitution and both the Tennessee Constitution, in that both require a separation of church and state. And by adopting this resolution, this commission would be respecting an establishment of religion which violates the U.S. Constitution. And this commission would be preferring a religious establishment which violates the Tennessee Constitution. Thank you for your time, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Next, Christy Cowan.
Hello, thank you all for having me and allowing me to speak. My name is Christy Cowan. I live at 1735 Russell Street. I was born and raised here in Morristown, and I've spent the majority of my life here, about 35 years. My husband and I lived in South Carolina for some time for school and work, but we've been back here for about 11 years. All of our families are here, and we're very proud to be living in Morristown and to be from Morristown. And now we're raising our own children here. And so I never dreamed I'd be in front of the county commission talking, honestly, about anything. So here I am. Last week I was very shocked to see and to hear that this county commission had decided to take up this resolution. It really just blindsided me, I have to say. I was shocked. The Supreme Court ruled on this issue of marriage equality well over 2 years ago. I know that East Tennessee counties have taken up this issue, and some of them have voted it down, some of them have voted for it. But I really didn't think Hamilton County would even touch it, honestly. So I was very shocked, and I really wanted to come and talk to you all about that. The people that came before me spoke very eloquently, and I hope not to reiterate really anything they said. They did an excellent job, and I appreciate all of their contributions. But I do want to talk about the impact, really just two types of impact. Financial impact, which you all know, if we're trying to court businesses to come here or people to come and live in Hamlin County, this is really sending them a very bad message, a very negative message. And I really believe that. The other thing is the personal impact that this has had. I know just by virtue of having this resolution on your agenda, it has caused people to feel bad. It's creating discord in our community that we don't need. You all have done great work. You've got lots of good things on the agenda tonight that are going to be good for the benefit of all of the community. And think about all of this time that's been spent here tonight talking about this resolution. And the other thing, too, when I realized that this was on the agenda, I wondered how it came to be. You know, why now? Why well over 2 years after this decision had been made? And I found out that it was an outside group that had brought this to this body. And that really surprised me. So I thought, well, what's the goal there? If they are, ultimately, I think what they're doing is they're looking for people in positions of power, like county commissions, to take this issue on. And in doing so, if you were to vote for this resolution, it puts you into a position where you may be funding lawsuits. Because if you vote for this resolution, that could happen. There could be lawsuits against the county of Hamlin County. As a taxpayer here, I do not support that. And I doubt that all of you do too, or do. We need to work together as a community, as a county commission, to benefit all of our citizens, not to vote on this resolution or to vote for it. I hope all of you find it in your heart and in your mind to vote no on this resolution. I think a unanimous decision would really send a message to this outside group and others, in fact, the entire country, that here in Hamlin County, we support all of our residents. I think voting for this resolution is this county commission saying that we don't respect the rights of all of our citizens in this county. And I don't think that's what you all want to do. I don't think you want to gamble with taxpayer money in terms of potential lawsuits. I don't think you want to send that message to your county residents and your constituents. I think you want to support all of us. So please, tonight, vote no on this resolution. Please. Thank you all. Thank you for your time. Merry Christmas.
Next we have Chris Steve.
Thank you for your time. If it's okay with you, I'd like to answer my phone. Is that all right for the notes? Oh, yes. My permanent address is 864 Barber Drive in Talbot, Tennessee. And as noted on my application to speak, thank you for accepting it. I currently live in Washington, D.C. So my name is Chris Speed. I'm originally from Morristown. I lived here from the time I was 1 until I graduated from West High School. I'm very thankful for everything I learned from everyone in the community here. From my teachers at Sunday School to my teachers at all throughout Alpha Elementary, Westview Middle, and also at Morristown West. And also, as an aside, I apologize for looking a little disheveled. I just drove 8.5 hours from DC to get here. And so I didn't even have time to throw on my red shirt. Thank you all for being here. So I guess I just want to say a few things. Jono, send the email and everything like that. I'm a product of Hamlin County. I'm very thankful for everything I learned growing up here. And this bill is uncharacteristic for us as a county, I feel. A few things I want to say is that, obviously, hate does not have a home here. In this county, it's not. This is totally a waste of taxpayer time and money, as I've noted, and as other speakers have noted. And as conservatives, which I know all of you in the room, I believe, identify as conservatives over here. This is not good for business either, right? This is going to earn us a bad reputation. It's already been, like I said, it's already been hitting AP and everything like that. So I don't know. On all those fronts, I just think that this is just a complete and total waste of time and taxpayer money, to be honest. And I think that as our elected officials, you should be good stewards of our money and our time. So, you know, and as elected officials, you are elected to represent all of us, not just, you know, not just Christians, not just, you know, you're here to work for everyone. And outside of all this question's already been answered. You know, within, I feel like in a lot of churches, and I feel like in a lot of, just across the country, this question's already been answered. This is, again, a completely total waste of time. And, you know, as someone who works in local politics, I know very well that this feels more like a narrative and like something that can, you know, maybe score you all points for, you know, for re-election next year, perhaps. I don't know. But I will say that that there's a lot of time, there's a lot of energy out there, and you might find yourself on this side of the tables this time next year, potentially, right? So anyway, I'm glad that someone actually showed up from the Patriot Brigade, because you know, they didn't get commented, they didn't put it in the paper. You know, so I'm actually, you know, finally, it's good to see that someone actually showed up here today on that front. Okay, so on all that to say, look, I mean, I'm a product of this county. I'm very thankful for everything I've learned here, and you know, ultimately, this is not a good decision. And I urge you very strongly, and I wish I was also wearing red. I urge you very strongly to vote no tonight, and to you know, to uphold positive values. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Weiss is next.
Thank you, Commissioner Jarvis. I appreciate this opportunity to be before you guys tonight. As many of you know, this resolution, as has been previously stated, is totally uncharacteristic for the people and the industries that exist within this county. Earlier today, I had the opportunity to be in downtown Knoxville, where I purposefully scheduled meetings with major commercial organizations. I took a poll out of the organizations I've met with. 17 out of 24 told me that if this resolution was adopted or is adopted within this county, the likelihood of their investing here is extraordinarily slim. As you know, we just recently emerged from an economic downturn. I would hate to imagine this county losing business and investment to other counties. People do have options. Families have options. As a matter of fact, I've seen a mass exodus in this county of folks my age, especially college age, and graduates, because they feel as though this county and this commission is not representative of what they feel is necessary to move us forward. I'm not a progressive. Everyone here, at least that knows me, knows that as a fact. In fact, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have stood here in support, in opposition of this resolution. However, today, I do. In Hamlin County, we have been extremely fortunate to witness little unrest or malcontent as the direct result of the Supreme Court's decision in Obergefell versus Hodges. But on the reverse, many counties our size most definitely have. I don't think that you have to look any further than Rowland County, Kentucky. As I consider both the short and long-term ramifications of adopting this resolution, I must be transparent as I acknowledge the validity of contrasting viewpoints being offered by many opposing this resolution's adoption, whereas they justly fear the potential of division and unrest as a result of its passage. As you know, it seems like every day we confront another report of a business leaving, a busted meth lab, or obituaries of folks falling victim to opioids, in which we have a 3-time higher rate of death than any other county in the state of Tennessee. And you guys deserve and you owe the people of this county and of this community a response to these issues. But instead, you guys are here considering a resolution on an issue that has already been decided by the United States Supreme Court and that Governor Haslam himself has said is irrelevant at this time and place. You can do better. I know you can. Many of you are my friends, and you're expected to do so. A lot of folks have already talked about the economic impacts. I know I have with my meetings today. But we are a great American community. I have spent the majority of my life fighting to move this community forward, as have many of you. We're not moving forward with this resolution. We're moving backward. It is a shame that people are afraid to go outside as homosexuals in Hamlin County, Tennessee. We are a community with over 65,000 residents. That means that we are, as a county, the size of the city of Johnson City. They don't have this issue. Knoxville doesn't have this issue. Most of the country doesn't have this issue. But instead, we're sitting here tonight because someone, somewhere, from an organization that has been termed far right, has decided to waste your time and the people of this county's time. That's inexcusable, and quite frankly, it's a daggum shame. And you should be ashamed of yourself if you vote for this resolution. I'm just being 100% honest. So with this in mind, I want to let you know that if you vote yes for this resolution, you can expect a tide coming your way. If you vote no, I want to let you know that I'll be right here fighting with you along the way. We must move this county forward. This resolution does not do that. I thank you for your time. May God bless you. May God bless this county. And have a Merry Christmas.
Jerry.
Thank you very much. I'm Sherry Falk. I'm a retired Episcopal priest. I live at 1601 Forest Drive. I have lots of things to say. I think everybody who has spoken here has said what I would have said. And so I'm tempted to sit down, but I won't. As I said, everyone who has spoken has mentioned something really, really important for the Commission to consider. What I would like to do is just clarify a few of the points that have been mentioned. The first thing I'd like to remind us is that the goal of Patriot's Brigade is to get as many counties in the state of Tennessee as is possible to put pressure on the state legislature and on the governor to say that the Tennessee Marriage Act of 2006 out-trumps the Supreme Court. Article 3 of the Constitution says that the Supreme Court is the final interpreter of the Constitution. The mechanism for trying to generate this is a process called nullification. Every time this has been attempted in a court in the United States, it has been defeated. In the resolution is a bullet point which suggests, which says that if you approve this, you're committing tax dollars to the legal and political process of seeing this through. Other people have said this is a waste of time and it is a waste of energy. I just want to echo that and say that is absolutely true. It will go nowhere. It can't, because the Supreme Court has ruled. I want to say something also about the Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court ruling actually says, and this is really important to keep in mind, there are two official sorts of understanding of marriage in this country. One is that it's a religious covenant. The other is that it's a function of the state. What the Supreme Court ruled, which has not been said, is that to deny same-gender couples marriage licenses would be a violation of due process and of their civil rights under the 14th Amendment. That is a state position. That is not a religious position. The state position is that states cannot deny marriage licenses. The Supreme Court did not say that clergy in this country have to teach their parishioners, their congregations, different theology, that they have to engage in different practices. No clergy person has to officially do something that he or she does not feel compelled to do. If the Supreme Court had done that, as you've already heard, it would be a violation of the First Amendment. And I've forgotten who said that, but I appreciate that because that was said very well. But in the same way that the federal government cannot nationalize a particular religious point of view, Patriot's Brigade cannot do that either. You've heard all the reasons, all the harm that can be done to the economy. I'm particularly concerned about the people. I'm concerned about people in the workplace. I'm concerned about setting people up for bullying and for harassment. We have laws in this country guaranteeing that people will not be discriminated against in hiring. And to pass this would be to put people in that particular position. I'm reminded of, I'm old enough, I'm 72, I'm reminded of a wonderful play and a movie that came out in the 1960s, and I can't even say that because my time is over. Man for All Seasons. Watch it and watch the part about striking down laws and who would stand in the winds that blow then. Thank you.
Next we have Christina Baldwin.
Thank you. My name is Christina Baldwin. I live on 3rd North Street. My name is Christina Baldwin. I live on 3rd North Street. I'm a Hamlin County resident and native. I was born and raised here. I'm a mother of 2, restaurant retail manager, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on this today. When I saw the Citizen Tribune article on this resolution, I was shocked too. Shocked, concerned, and disheartened. I wanted to know who would bring forth such a divisive and ultimately redundant resolution to our little town at Christmas. I found out about the Patriot Brigade and checked on their website, which says their goal is to institute a Christian form of government. As far as I understand that, that's unconstitutional in and of itself. The First Amendment is pretty clear. There's zero accountability on this website, no phone numbers, no addresses, no a P.O. box, no officers listed, no pictures. It was just really kind of sketchy looking. It's been suggested that this resolution is not about morality. I find it hard to believe considering the sponsors. In fact, it shouldn't be about morality because each of us is free to define our own sense of morality. In fact, in a letter to Danbury Baptist, one of our founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, and an ancestor of mine, said that religion is a matter which lies solely between man and his God, and he owes account to no other for his faith or his worship. Several Christian denominations are proudly LGBT inclusive, allowing not only for marriage but for practicing clergy members. The Patriot Brigade does not have the authority to speak for all Christians. If this isn't about morality, let's prove it. It's been suggested it's about legality, but as everyone else has said here tonight, the Supreme Court has decided this issue. 5 out of 9 Supreme Court judges are not some wayward group of lawless renegades. They are duly appointed judges who have the final say on interpreting the Constitution. That's just how it works. To me, it is disrespectful to all that have served and sacrificed for our nation to suggest such. It's been suggested that this is about taxes. I don't understand that one either. A few gay couples who I know here in Hamilton County are all property owners. They all pay property taxes. They buy stuff and pay sales taxes. Tennessee has no state tax, so how can a marriage exemption affect anything but federal taxes? Are we suggesting that it's somehow okay to put a squeeze on a marginalized group? I would refer those folks to the 14th Amendment. I'm suggesting that this is alarming. I'm extremely concerned about the message it sends to investors, tourists, or even hate groups. Economically, this sort of thing never bodes well for citizens of the county. North Carolina lost millions during their bathroom debacle. Kentucky, too. In fact, I was just reading an article where the county in Kentucky where Kim Davis is from is now paying $225 in legal fees to defend the fact that she illegally denied couples gay marriage licenses. I think that this resolution would open the county up to all sorts of potential discrimination lawsuits. And I would like to see Hamilton County, which I just read the other day is 14th in the country for job growth right now, stay strong for the future. I will have raised 2 children here. My 14-year-old knows this is wrong. He says it simply as any kid would. It's bullying. It's picking on somebody who's different. And I'm sure that you are all reasonable men. I realize some of y'all have not had an opportunity to check the origins of this resolution. I'm also pretty confident that you sincerely want to serve Hamilton County and its citizens. Please prove that today. Send a message to any onlookers, meddlers, investors, and most importantly, our own LGBT citizens, that Hamilton County has no room for these futile divisions, and we appreciate all of our people by unanimously voting against this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's everyone that's asked for 5 minutes, but we allow 3 minutes to anyone that wants to address the commission on an agenda item only.
Hi, good evening. My name is Julio Salazar. I live at 1541 Godwin Street. You guys are welcome there all the time. We make good dinner. I want to say one thing that hasn't been said yet, and that's to ask you one question before you vote on this, and that's what's next. What happens after this vote? If you choose to pass this resolution brought to you by a Patriots Brigade that does not really stand for patriotism, what happens next? Will they then bring a resolution to deny the court case of Loving versus Virginia and disallow interracial marriage in Hamilton County? And after that, will they then bring us legislation that denies non-Christian marriages in our county? Where does it end? What message do we send if we pass this resolution? I'll tell you what message it sends to me as a member of Hamilton County's electorate, as a bisexual man, and as someone who wants to return to Tennessee after finishing my time at the University of Notre Dame. It sends this message, that this commission is not the one passing laws. It's this Patriots Brigade that is controlling this commission. We send a message today, if we pass this resolution, that groups that do not have ties to Hamilton County, but have ties to radicalism and the alt-right, have power over our government. Rather than giving them the power, empower the people living here in this country and in this county, investing in this county, voting in this county, living in this county, and loving in this county. Because if we pass the resolution denying same-sex equality, it sends a message that everyone else is next. If you will deny me marriage to a guy if I fall in love with, will you then deny me the right to marry a white person that I meet in this Hamilton County? I ask that you consider this. What message will you send? And what comes next if you let the Patriots Brigade choose our laws in Hamilton County? Thank you.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Terrence R. Craig, United States Air Force, retired. I'm a citizen of the state of Tennessee, just like you and I are. I have
Where do
been
you live?
listening to people,
me.
unfortunately, that do not know
Excuse me, where do you live?
1330 Iron Bridge Road, Mulsanne, Tennessee.
Thank you.
I have found that a lot of people do not know how our Constitution is written, who has what powers, who do not have powers. But you must know that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. It is supreme over the Supreme Court. It is supreme over the Congress. It is supreme over the President. It is supreme over them all combined. When anybody violates the Constitution or exceed their authority, whatever they did in that has no authority, is void, and has no force. In Article 1, Section 7, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution, we find how laws come into existence. They start as bills and must be passed by both houses of Congress. Then the bill must be presented to the President. If he approves it, he can sign it into law, or if he doesn't approve it, or he can permit it to become law without his signature. The President can veto the bill and return it with his objection to the House of its origin. If the bill is approved the second time by 2/3 vote of both houses of Congress, it becomes law. That is how anything becomes law in the federal government. You can see there, the Supreme Court has nothing to do with making law. Opinions by the Supreme Court are not law. I would suggest that the issue before us today is not the issue of same-sex marriage, even though it brought us to this point, nor is it the issue of states' rights, even though states' rights are a valid component of what we are confronted with today. Thank you, Brian.
Time is up.
Time's up.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
My name is Josh Manzak. I live on 430 Lockmere Green Drive, and I'd like to thank the Commission for my presence here today. Marriage is defined as the legally or formally recognized union of two people as partners in a personal relationship. Today, Hamlin County will vote on one of the most discriminatory motions to be seen in many years. On June 26, 2015, the United States Supreme Court voted 5-4 to overturn the 1971 case of Baker v. Nelson in support of the legalization of same-sex marriage nationwide. Fast forward 2.5 years to present day, and we see the county voting on this resolution pushed by the Patriots Brigade of Tennessee to take away this right. The Patriots Brigade reasoning for this resolution is as follows. The 5 justices that voted in favor committed a fraudulent crime against we the people and the Constitution of the United States, as only Congress is allowed to pass laws making what the Supreme Court did illegal. They've even gone as far as to call for the impeachment of the 5 justices for disobeying the Constitution. In their website, they claim the Supreme Court needs to, quote, get educated, unquote, in the Constitution, though it seems they are the uneducated ones. Their mission statement brings up the need to create a more Christian-based government, which is actually the reasoning some of you may have to vote yes for this resolution. However, I must remind you that the Constitution also in it defines the separation of church and state, a separation some of us seem to have forgotten. To continue on the critique of their reasoning, the Supreme Court did not, as the Patriots Brigade and others have so bluntly put it, create a law. Rather, they found that making same-sex marriage illegal was unconstitutional, by way of the Due Process Clause and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Judging whether or not current laws are constitutional or not, I assure you, is the job of the Supreme Court. I recognize that the Patriots Brigade sponsorship of this resolution is to some merely an excuse to advance personal and individual agendas to revoke the legalization of same-sex marriage. For those of you that statement holds true for, I now speak directly to you. If you vote yes in today's resolution, the shame brought to Hamlin County will be nationwide. Already the fact that we are here tonight having this conversation has made news and has brought about criticism from even the ACLU. Hetty Weinberg, ACLU of Tennessee Executive Director, shared this with Knoxville News. Hamlin County's proposed resolution undermines our American value that the government should treat everyone equally under the law and not discriminate. The Supreme Court decision made clear that the freedom to marry is a fundamental right protected by the United States Constitution, and regardless of any Hamlin County's commissioner personal desire to discriminate, the decision is the law of the land. I ask you all today to think carefully before you cast your vote. I urge you, do not let Hamlin County be remembered as the bigoted, discriminatory county that does not believe everyone here in this beautiful country is truly equal. Vote no in favor of we the people, all of the people. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Don Lamb. I reside at 4832 Wayne Johnson Road. I've been a citizen of Hamlin County for 42 years. Part of what drew me to this county, outside the call of the church, was when we visited here, I liked the looks of our schools, I liked the looks of the town. It was clean, it was neat, compared to Nashville, Tennessee, which I just moved from. And it still looks that way to me. This is not a matter of equality or inequality. It's not a matter of civil rights or denial of civil rights. It's not a matter of dollars and cents. It's not a matter of hatred or love. I don't see anybody in this room I hate. My Bible teaches me I'm to love everyone and seek to lead them to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. I'm not going to violate that. Let me move very quickly. All legislation is moral legislation. They say you can't legislate morality. However, this is false. The truth is that morality is the only thing you can legislate. Every law is an expression of somebody's morality. Every law sets limits saying this is right or that is wrong. These are moral claims. What the secularist really means when he argues that you cannot legislate morality is you cannot legislate Christian morality. It's not a matter of whether morality will influence our laws, but whose morality? Since every law that the state makes is based on some standard of morality, the public square is not morally neutral, nor can it be. So it's a question, not a question of whether the state's laws will have moral ramifications, but it's a question of whose morality will shape the law. And by the way, you have to have a standard that is unchanging, gentlemen, to make laws by. If you're going to change the standard every year at every whim, then you're never going to make a law that's going to be equal. There has to be a strong standard of right and wrong, unchangeable by every liberal or legal whim. We are openly advocating God's design for marriage as found in the Bible in Genesis 2:24. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother, be joined to his wife, they shall become one flesh. Jesus supported that in the Gospels. Tonight, we're asking you to defend marriage as between one man and one woman. This definition of marriage has been the foundation of marital law for the last 2,000 years, and in this country since the first colonists arrived in 1607. Gentlemen, thank you for the time. God bless you, and have a Merry Christmas.
Hi, my name is Ivan Perez. I live at 529 Livingston Lane. I want to thank the Commission for allowing us to hear these arguments brought forth by the Patriots Brigade today. I think that while as many people have stated they are using our county as a platform potentially for embarrassment nationally wide, something that has come about this, hopefully we'll be able to redeem ourselves here in a little bit, but something good that's come of this is that I think that as you can hear tonight from the people who are speaking, that it has done something positive for our local community, and that so many people have been galvanized to come together to speak out against this group, to speak out against what they hope to have our county say to the state, to the country, and to the world. People are listening. And today in this room, if you are listening, you hear that Morristown, Hamlin County, says that we do not agree with the Patriots Brigade, that we do not agree with what they stand for, and that we will not let our community believe otherwise. So thank you. I look forward to congratulating you on your dissenting vote.
My name is Don Davis. I'm a retired minister. I've been a pastor for 50 years. And as I hear these comments, it's things that I wouldn't have dreamed 50 years ago that I would have thought that we would be fighting against. I live at 4596 Parish Circle. And I commend each of you men that voted to send this resolution. I pray for you every day. You may not know it, but I do. I pray that God will be with our legislators, that He will be with those that make laws. Supreme Court, according to my understanding of it, doesn't make laws. They interpret them. Congress makes laws is the way I understand it now. That's my understanding of it. But in the beginning, God created male and female. No others. That's what He created. I believe in marriage between one man and one woman. And I commend you men for sending this to Nashville. And my last words are, and if so many here speaking against this, if they are so in their heart know that it's not going to become of anything, why are they speaking against it so much? If I was sure that it wasn't going to happen, I'd have stayed home. But I'm here standing before you people, before God, and I know that whenever that I stand before my Savior, I've been born again, was saved in 1963. And I'm on the road to a country that is called heaven. And there's a lot of people today that needs to get saved, I'm afraid. And I commend you men, send it to Nashville. I'm behind you 100%. God bless you and I bless you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Hello, my name is Anna Kubai, and I live at 1150 Ludlow Court in Morristown. I wanted to thank the county commissioners for allowing so many of us to speak here today. But I also want to go ahead and clear the air for a minute. This isn't about raging politics. This is about a regressive action in a progressive world. I have been discouraged by many, all telling me not to be political, but this matter exceeds that. In a conversation with a friend and her brother about attending today, my friend insisted that even if the outcome doesn't change anything politically, it's the implications of even posing this that furthers that our county is perpetuating outdated discrimination. None of us here mean to be rude or disrespectful, but you cannot go on record and say that this resolution doesn't intend to discriminate against the LGBTQ community. The people in red behind me are in accordance with the fact that we don't want Hamlin County to condone this. Now, I can't personally identify with the LGBT community, but I can identify with blatant disrespect. As can all of us. I think that everyone is on the side of personal respect, no matter the medium. I love where I live, but to see this even being a consideration breaks my heart. I think, and you should think, of the future of children in this county that think that they aren't being accepted. And finally, I'd like to pose how this even became an issue. What sparked the debate and provoked the need to take action on something that is seeming to take precedence over the betterment of our county? This may seem like just a vote, but the ripple that this vote has is unimaginable. It may not affect you personally, it may just be another vote on your agenda, but this directly alters the perception of the LGBT community in Hamlin County. If our local government doesn't respect them, what doors does that open for bullying, hatred, and belittling of people? People. We are talking about people. Not a law, not a stigma, not even an opinion. I am a proud Christian, but I am also a proud person of tolerance and love. And I think I speak for everyone, or most everyone here when I insist that. Respect is what is at stake here. Don't forget that. You have heard from young generations tonight, people that will impact this county, begging for your vote for respect. Please take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Logan McGinnis, and I live at 1230 McFarland Street. About 6-7 months ago, I came to Morristown looking for another place to live. Because in the county that I lived in, it kind of became very discouraging being an LGBT member. I came to Morristown because it was more accepting. And after finding out about this resolution, or whatever you would like to call it, it was so disheartening to me to find that a place that I had went as a refuge was starting to go backwards. I am religious. I am Episcopalian. I go to All Saints downtown. And I do not believe that this is a matter of religion, whether it's your beliefs or what. That's your prerogative, as it is mine. I believe that we should treat each other with love and respect, and that's what this is. That's what it should be. It's common sense, and to treat people with love and respect and decency. This resolution does not promote that. It does not promote love.